The NFL's new policy requiring players to stand for the national anthem or their team faces fines, provoking strong reaction. One Republican congressman, New York's Peter King, raising eyebrows with this tweet, saying, quote, "Disgraceful that Jets owner will pay fines for players who kneel for national anthem, encouraging a movement premised on lies versus police." Would he support all player protests? Would he pay fines of players giving Nazi salutes or spew racism? Time to say goodbye to the Jets. Let's bring in our guest, former Green Beret and NFL Seahawks player with Nate Boyer, senior little legal analyst Mark Garagos. Mark is, by the way, representing Colin Kaepernick in a battle against the NFL regarding collusion. Good morning to both of you. Thanks for being here. And Nate, of course, thank you for your service. We'll start with you because you encouraged Colin Kaepernick in the very beginning of this movement to take a knee and not to sit during the national anthem. When you see that tweet from a congressman, Peter King, equating it to a Nazi salute, what's your reaction?
Well, I mean, that's a little far-fetched. A lot far-fetched, I should say. You know, it's important to note that taking a knee was sort of born out of compromise from two people that maybe didn't agree necessarily on everything, but people that were willing to listen to one another. And I wanted him to stand because of what it means to me, what the flag, the anthem, everything means to me, and he didn't want to. And through our conversation, through listening and respecting one another, he agreed to take a knee. So, I mean, that's from somebody that served his country, and it was a way to demonstrate where I thought that he was showing that he was willing to listen to people that maybe he was hurting and affecting in some way. And so, yeah, it's not a you can't compare it to a Nazi salute. That's just ridiculous.
Another congressman, senator in this case, who served their country, Senator Tammy Duckworth, a double amputee, Iraq War veteran, she tweeted this: "One day our nation's flag will drape my coffin, just as it did my dad's and will my husband's and brothers. I will always stand on these legs for the flag and anthem, but it also my honor to defend people's right to free speech, including those who choose to take a knee to express outrage at the glaring disparity in how Americans of different races are treated." This sentiment has turned against taking a knee. It's not necessarily popular with the American people, but is that the common ground, Nate, that Americans could find on the issue?
I mean, the one thing about this whole situation is you can say all day what a protest or demonstration is about, but you don't get to choose how people perceive it, right? So, we have to respect that as well. But, I sat down with Colin almost 2 years ago now, and, I know where he was coming from and where he is coming from is not a place of, of hate and of, utter disrespect for the flag or the anthem or our country. So I know that because I sat down with him, and people that have certain feelings about that, until you really listen to somebody and sit down with them and take the time, whether you agree with them or not, it's just not right to make those judgments and attack people in any way, regardless of what they believe in.
Colin Kaepernick, like Eric Reed, still out of work at this time. And Mark, you represent them in this collusion case towards the NFL. Their new policy, which requires players stay in the locker room or stand during the anthem or their team faces a penalty. You tweeted this, quote tweeted, with the hashtag NFL collusion. Does it help your case?
I certainly don't think it hurts the case. In fact, part of why the frustration of this case is that we're under a protective order for many of the depositions and the evidence we've developed. But clearly, I think when we originally filed, we said the owners colluded. We allege they did it because of the president. Nothing that we've seen has taken away from that. In fact, everything that we've seen and that we've developed during the discovery shows that this was a concerted effort by the owners because they were afraid that President Trump had hijacked the message and they were going to do this. And by the way, when you say that this is not a popular message in America, that's actually not true. The NFL knows that it's a polarizing message. They've actually done polling on it, and the polling was leaked at one point. But clearly, the polling breaks down along, believe it or not, demographic and ethnic lines. And it is extremely correlative to who you are, what age you are, and what your ethnicity is, based on their own internal polling, which they did not share with people. But frankly, as one of the witnesses has said in this matter, if they could collude to keep you out, they could collude to bring you back in. And what they're doing here by having this policy is colluding.
Well, just to be clear about some of the polling we're looking at, Washington Post Kaiser Family Foundation found 53% of the American people said no, it is never appropriate to kneel during the national anthem. And Mark, it was a business decision for these owners. It took a hit in their bottom line. The ratings went down. Even in some cases, the attendance went down. Why is that collusion to keep these guys out of the league to protect their bottom line?
Well, the evidence that you cite, Chris, is not the evidence that they have testified to. I mean, internally, they've got all kinds of documents that say, no, they don't have a revenue problem. They've got all kinds of documents, and they've got the opinion that, no, they haven't taken any hit whatsoever. They are worried about prospectively taking a hit. And ideally, in this situation, they're trying to do anything to make this go away, including this kind of failed program they had, Protest to Progress. They don't want to deal with this. I mean, the other sports leagues, like the NBA, have dealt with this head on, haven't kind of curried favor with people who don't understand that this is a core political speech issue. And, you know, I would tell you, when you look at polls, you say 50% say it isn't. I think in that same poll, 38% or 35% said it was okay, 15% or whatever it was were undecided. Remember, going back into the 50s, 95% of America said that it was not appropriate for couples to interracially date. So when you just take a straight polling, in fact, if you know, I would suggest to you, if you polled on any of the amendments, you'd find a polarizing nature of the American public. That doesn't make it right.
Well, then let's end, Nate, on something not polarizing. Your message to those who have made the ultimate sacrifice on this Memorial Day.
Yeah, I mean, I think my message is more to the American people than to just the men and women who paid that ultimate sacrifice. I'll say this. What most of them died for, you know, is not the right to protest. It's not for patriotism. It's not for the Constitution or the American flag or the national anthem or any of that. What they died for is the man on their left and right. And if we can't live for the man on our left and right back here at home, you know, respectfully, despite our differences, then what in the hell did they die for?
And that we can all agree on. All right, Nate Boyer, Mark Aragos, thank you both for being here. Appreciate it. Nate, thanks for your service.
Thanks.
Thank you very much, sir.
Allison.
Appreciate that.